Hi everyone, myself PLE. Today's our topic is that the Earth movements and major landform from class 7 geography. Before we start this chapter, I just want to show you this image. You can see that millions years ago our world map structure is different. On that time all continental bodies were joined together. They were known as Pangea, and all water bodies made a huge oceans that known as Panthalassa. But now all continental bodies and water bodies are separated from each other because of earth movement. Okay. This movement is known as Continental Drift theory that is introduced by Alfred Wegener. That supercontinent Pangaea began to break up about 200 to 225 million years ago. The theory says that initial two massive continents, Laurasia and Gondwanaland, were formed, eventually fragmenting further to form today's continents. So that two massive continents name was that Laurasia and Gondwanaland. Okay. Now we can see that lithospheric plate. So what is that lithospheric plate? The earth crust is broken up into a series of plates called lithospheric plates. So that earth crust is broken up into a series of plates that is known as the lithospheric plate. There are seven major lithospheric plate and some minor plate. So which are the seven major lithospheric plates? They are the African plates, the Indo-Australian plates, the Eurasian plate, the Pacific plates, the Northern American plates, the Southern American plates, and the Antarctic plates. So the seven major lithospheric plates are African, Indo-Australian, Eurasian, Pacific plates, North American, South American, and Antarctic plates. So another that minor plates are Arabian plates, Caribbean plates, Cocos plates, etc. Okay. So that minor plates name are Arabian, Caribbean, Cocos plates, etc. Another topic of this chapter is that plate movement. The first question is arise that why the lithospheric plates are constantly in motions. The answer is that the tremendous heat generated inside the core on the earth caused the rocks in the mantle to melt. These molten rocks expand, rise and push the plates away from each other. When they cool down, they sink and bring the plates towards each other. This process is known as plate tectonic. So another way we can say what is that plate tectonic? The force that causes most of the plate movement is thermal convections, where heat forms that earth interior cause current of hot rising magma and cooler sinking magma to flow, moving the plates of the currents along with them. So how many types of plate movements are there? There are three types of plate movement. One is that convergent plate movement, second is the divergent plate movements, and third is that transform plate movement. Okay. So what is convergent plate movements? When two plates move towards each other, they are known as convergent. What is the divergent plate movement? When two plates move away from each other, they are known as divergent plate movement. And what is the transform plate movements? When two plates horizontally slide past each other, that is known as transform plates movements. You can see this image. That first picture is define that convergent plate movements, second picture is define the divergent plate movements, and third picture define that transform plate movements. Now we are going to discuss that earth movement. The movements of that earth are divided on the basis of their force that cause them. The forces that act inside the earth are called endogenic or that external force. So that earth force are divided into two parts. One is that endogenic or that internal force, and second is that exogenic or that external force. Endogenic means that which force act inside in the earth, that is known as internal force. They are two types. One is a sudden force and second is that diastrophic force. So sudden force example are that earthquake, volcanic eruptions and landslides, etc. And diastrophic force example are mountain building. Okay. And now another part is that exogenic force or that external force, that force that work on the surface of that earth are called that exogenic or that external force. That example of that exogenic and that external force are river, glaciers, wind, sea waves, etc. They act slowly and result in erosional and depositional activities. Today's our discussion is over. Next day we are going to discuss that volcanoes, earthquake, etc.